morning. Welcome to Vlogmas Day 13 of the Serenity podcast. I'm Tracy, the North Carolina half of Serenity podcast, and today is Scrappy Sunday. So I thought I would show you some of my favorite Scrappy projects and do some of my Advent stuff and basically just talk to you about what I'm up to these days. So I wasn't going to mention this is my second time recording this. The first time did not have sound, but it's a very Stephanie heavy episode. Hi, Stephanie. Stephanie is my swap partner for the 24 days of cheer swap on Ravelry. And it's really interesting because I was just thinking about this morning. I've done this swap for 4 years and I've had 3 partners named Stephanie. They've all been awesome. All my partners have been awesome for this swap. But this year, being a year we're at home a lot, it's been particularly exciting to have a little something to look forward to every day, and it's been awesome to make a new friend too. But Stephanie is also fairly local to me. Well, she's from North Carolina, not fairly local, but North Carolina is a long state, so I'm about halfway through it. She's on the east, so it's probably a 4-hour trip to get to Stephanie. But maybe someday we'll meet at a fiber festival or some fun event. So I've already opened my Advents on the first video that did not have sound, so I can show off my amazingness from today. I have a mini skein. This is from Loops, which is really exciting because I'm also doing a project by the dyer. She's also a designer, and my Advent project is from Lydia of Loops, so that was fun. Also today is the day where we swap recipes. So the 24 days of cheer swap is pretty low key. You have a 5 to 7 gram mini every day. You can opt to do a full skein for the 25th, and I think everybody opts for that because why wouldn't you want a full skein on the 25th? And then you can throw in little extras along the way if you want to, and every person I've ever swapped with has thrown in extras along the way too. And Stephanie has given me a lot of really good teas. She has given me several packages of Earl Grey with lavender, and I've made some pretty amazing London fog drinks with that. Hopefully I'll be able to start the video with a little snippet of making that this morning. And I really enjoyed it while I recorded the first time. And halfway through, we also will swap a recipe. And so today she also added a card from Newbern, just where she lives. I haven't been there since our 8th grade field trip to Newbern, but I really loved it. And someday I will go back. And she included a lavender soap today. Let's see. Yeah, I think that shows up. And her recipe, this is really funny because hers was for soft amaretto cookies. You can't see that, but I can try to show you the picture. And the reason why this is particularly funny to me is that they look exactly like the cookie recipe that I sent her for today. They're not the same. Hers are very, very different, but the look is the same. The idea that we sent her one that was called Chocolate Crinkles, which is another recipe I got from a Ravelry swap a couple years ago, probably like 8 years ago, and it's become a family favorite for our cookie swaps every year in our Mill Village, and it looks just like this cookie here. So hers have lots of different flavors, and I'm really excited about trying that out. That aside for now. Okay. So I was going to talk to you about Advent projects, and I started this idea maybe 4 years ago. I came up with the idea that I wanted to use some of the minis that were really special to me. So these are some minis I collected at Into the Wool and the ZK mini swaps, and also some that I gotten from friends, and just some leftovers I had used throughout the year. So that year I made a dotted raised shawl for Advent. I tried to use a mini skein every day, and I just knit it until it was done, and it was a pretty gorgeous project if I do say so myself. So the next year I decided to buy an Amber O'Brien pattern. I love her stuff, and I made the ADVENTurer Wrap. And if I'm saying the wrong name, because all of her Advent wraps have very similar names until this year, I'll correct it in the show notes, but it's a gorgeous, gorgeous wrap. And this one I made with all leftovers. So this was for 2018, and these are all leftovers from my projects in 2018. And what I realized when I was finished is the shape is very different from the dotted rays, but the colors were almost identical because this is my color palette apparently. This is what I knit with. So I gave the first one to my friend Joy. So now we have very similar wraps that we can enjoy through Christmas. And I kept this one, so I couldn't show you the first year, but that's the second year. And then last year I thought I do not want to do another shawl because I've got so many now, and it's going to look the same because all of my yarn looks the same. So that time instead I got Amber O'Brien's ADVENTurous. I might be using the names wrong. It has Advent in it. I will definitely put in the show notes which is which. So I decided to do the cowl next time, the loop. And I love it. It's absolutely gorgeous. And again, it's mostly my leftovers from, no, that's not true. There are a few of my leftovers from 2019 and this one, but mostly it is a Sweet Sparrow Advent calendar that I got in 2018. That was too precious to knit with at the time, so I saved it. And then the next year I was like, why am I saving this? So I used it to make this gorgeousness. So those were my two Advent projects I still have. And I almost didn't do one this year. There's a lot going on this year, and I was thinking, do I really need to do an Advent project too? And the answer is yes, I always need to do an Advent project. So coming back to the 24 Days of Cheer group, we also, I think we changed our name this year. The name this year is For the Love of Minis. We changed our name For the Love of Minis because we do more than just swap mini skeins in this group now. And we also had a 12 months of gift socks knit along. And I was in it. At the beginning of the year, I was in it. I was getting a pair of socks knit every month. You start on the first day of the month, you end by the last day of the month, and you put your socks into the thread for prizes. Each month we have a sponsored designer, and the prize would be a pattern from the sponsored designer's web shop. And I won the week, I don't know what's wrong with me now. I won the month that Lydia of Loops was sponsoring. So I chose for my pattern, because I have so many sock patterns, I chose something different and went with a cowl. So this is I mentioned this on the podcast, but if you're behind, this will be the first time you get to see this loveliness. This is the Fred and George's Crazy Christmas Cowl. And the idea is that you mirror it, so it's similar on both sides, but a little different, like Fred and George, the twins. So there's a main color that you put in between each one of your minis. I did 24 minis. I don't remember what the pattern called for, but I added 24 minis, so I took out some rows so that would not have a gigantic cowl. And I chose this for my main color because I thought it would go very nicely with whatever I chose. This is Goosey Fibers in the Always colorway. Got a little bit of a Harry Potter theme going on here, and I'm okay with that because J.K. Rowling made nothing from my project or my yarns, so that's fine. The idea here, you start with a provisional cast on, and then you knit with your main color, and then you start putting in your minis, and then main color and mini and main color, and so on and so forth. And then when you get halfway through, you add a little extra length in your main color to show that you're starting over for the other side. So when I graphed it, this will be the longer section of main color, and somewhere up here will be an extra section of main color too. And I'm really loving how it's looking. And if you missed the last podcast, I'm going to show you this awesomeness too. Something about this crazy cowl, she named it correctly, that's for sure. These chevrons have, every time I have a color that has a little bit of a different color in it, it has done a great job of breaking those colors up. It's pretty insane. So this is the one I mentioned on the podcast. This is Teeny Button Studio in the Radish Earrings colorway. It's mostly pink with a little purple and a little yellow. So you see here on the front of the cowl, there's a lot of pink, a little purple, and on the back, it's totally yellow. So I don't know how that worked out, but it is nuts. And I think I'm going to embrace the crazy and just love it. Another color that did that is a Sweet Sparrow color. I can't remember the name of this one, but it's mostly yellow with a little pink. And so I got yellow chevrons and then one pink chevron. It's not showing up on camera very well. Oh, on the back it is. And on the back you have 3 mostly yellow chevrons and a mostly pink chevron, which is pretty cool. I'm almost halfway, getting close, almost halfway. I'm about, I think think I'm one behind. So once I get this gold one, I'll be halfway there, and then I'm one behind. This gold color I've got to show you because it's pretty amazing. This is the best. It's the best gold I've ever knit with. This is Spotted Circus. Her yarns are amazing. If you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it. I see her at SAF every year, and 2019 SAF, I feel like that's right. 2019 SAF, I was looking for gold to be a contrast color and a swancho that I was knitting, a Dragon Horde yarn swancho. And so I tried many, many golds, and this is the one I decided to go with. And I took this one home. It has been a contrast color in 3 colorwork sweaters during the year of 2020, and I still have this much left. So this will now have a stripe in my crazy advent cowl, and then I'm going to add it to my sock yarn blanket, pull out 10 grams for Beth's advent next year, and then see if I have any left over. And I'll tell you what I'll do with my leftovers in a minute here. I have 3 big blanket projects. I'm going to show you all my big blanket projects. First one, you've all seen the background of the regular podcast in every episode except one. It's all folded up here. This is a beast. It's really heavy. It's really difficult to sew the hexies together. It's looking gorgeous on camera. It's a really pretty project. And I started this in 2010. I think I started this in 2010. And so you can see my color choices in 2010 were much different than my color choices in 2019, for example. So I save any really bright leftovers, any bright skeins of leftovers I use for this. I don't work on it as often as I should. I like to work on it during Bunny Fish Crafts, all the small things knit along. So every summer, which is all the small things, I knit a lot of hexies for this thing. And this year, since I was home, I was able to get 1 done a day each day of the knit along. And I had this giant bowl of hexies, and I finally finished seaming them all in. And I thought I was going to be finished with the blanket when I got them seamed in, and realized I had 2 left over. And I could just toss those 2 or do something else with them. But I think I'm going to just I have to count and make sure. I think I have to do 8 more, maybe 10 more, and I can do 1 more row. So I'll probably do at least the 8 more or 10 more to make 1 more row, and then see. Maybe I'll just plan a little bit better this summer and figure out exactly how many I need and do exactly that number during the knit along this summer. I pulled out 2 really bright and beautiful minis I'm going to use for this blanket in the summertime. These are from my Advent from Stephanie. I think they're Space Cadet. I'd have to check the tags. I saved the tags. I just have to put them with the minis. But that's my first one. My oldest. And now I'm almost finished with my second. It's gotten a lot more love than the first because it's so much simpler to put it all together. Let's see. Nope. Didn't realize I was going to be re-recording, so I stopped in a weird place. But let's see. This is my cozy memory blanket. And I do at least 1 swear a week on this for for Scrappy Sunday. And I do 24 every December during Advent. So generally I'll use the minis from my 24 Days of Cheer. So this year I've been using my minis from my 24 Days of Cheer Advent from Stephanie. And I've been putting in some of my own too, because now that I'm getting close to the end, I'm getting kind of picky about what colors go where. This is one of my crazies too. So usually during Advent, I just throw whatever I get in the order that I get it, because I just think that makes a really great memory to be able to count from day 1 to 24 going up the side of a blanket. This year, this is my last column. Right? Yeah, this is the last column, and it will be done. So I'm trying to pick more solid colors to kind of anchor it. And also I have a weird thing I've developed over the course of this year where I want the colors to connect somehow. So I like how, I don't know if you can see this, I have yellows that are kind of going in a diagonal. blues that are going in a diagonal. So they're not all the same color side by side, but there is some kind of a color. There's kind of color theme running through it. So now I'm going to end that way, even though I didn't begin that way, so it's kind of stupid. That's just what I'm going to do. So I've been going from top to bottom. Got 4 across this row here, and I'll add on, I think there's at least one more row that's going to cross the top before it's done. So I'm a little less picky about what goes here. And then I finished up this row. This was the first row I finished up during Advent. I got started, oh no, I can't remember. Started here somewhere, finished this row up, and then picked up for one more column and then one more row. So one more column, 2 more rows, I believe, and this thing will all be done. And then I can decide what blanket I want to do next, if any. And that reminds me, I have one more that I already put away because I thought I was finished for today. So excuse me while I reach. I'm trying to do this all in one take and make it easier for my editor. Hopefully you can cut that out. So if I have a finished project, and then I will use what's left over in this blanket if it's the right shades, and in this blanket if not, and then I'll pull out 10 grams to use for Beth's Advent, and if there's more left over from that, I have some options. So if there's a lot left over after I pull out her Advent stuff, then I make minis for the 24 days of cheer swap, for swaps at different fiber events that I go to. And if there is 5 grams or less, they go into this awesome bag here. This bag is from the Project Bag on Etsy, and I love it because it's got this clear vinyl front, so I can see exactly what's in here. So these little minis, these are in balls, they have a tendency to get tangled around each other, and the more you dig into that bag, the worse it gets. So I can look from the front, see what I want, and go straight in for it and not have to get them all churned up and make a giant mess out of it. So, and also the back is adorable because that's a deer. How cute is that? So, highly recommend Tiffany's bags. Tiffany Project Bag on Etsy. All right, so if it's 5 grams or less, it goes into the Northeasterly blanket that I believe I started last year around Christmas time. I haven't got too far with it. It's not too bad, but it's so cute. It's so pretty. And I will do anything from 1 gram up to 4 or 5, depending on what the yarn is in this blanket, and just use it all the way up, like to knit down to 0 with my scraps if I possibly can. And what I have been doing, I started off by knitting just a foot, 12 inches of this pattern, and then picking up a new column and knitting 12 inches, and then a new column. And now how I'm doing this is I am catching all the rows, columns. I'm catching all the columns that I already had cast on up, so they're almost at the same point. And then I'll cast on a new column and knit that up to this point, and then start back at the beginning and knit a foot like all the way across, and then do a new column. I'm not sure that's the best way to do it. Might have to add 2 columns because it's getting kind of tall. That's not very wide yet. So maybe I'll add 2 columns before I start moving up again. But you just put them on waste yarn and pick them back up when you're ready. So I really love this. I think it's turned out really cute. But I don't want huge, wide, I don't want long arrows. I want long stripes. So once I finish that cozy memory, I might have to start on another one. Or maybe we'll have our vaccine and we can head off to ZK because Bunnyfish Heather has offered to teach me how to crochet a granny stripe blanket if we can make it to Minnesota this summer. So fingers crossed on that. I think that's all I had to show you. I cannot believe this video has been longer than the first one because I thought I would fly through it the second time. I hope you guys are all having a very cozy, scrappy Sunday, and thank you for watching. We'll see you soon. Bye.